So assuming this is the perimeter of your house, certainly wouldn't be this exact shape, but it'd be something like that. And it's time to put in the plywood subfloor. So in a isometric view, this is the plywood subfloor, and it has to extend all the way to the inside face of the plywood sheathing. So if we're looking at that section of the wall that we made, we have brick, then we have airspace, then we have rigid insulation, and then we have our plywood sheathing. So I want to draw a floor by drawing the perimeter and simply show that the perimeter actually lines up right here. And if we zoom in on the wall, you can see brick, brick, airspace, airspace, rigid insulation, plywood sheathing, which we made in our stacked walls. And now I want to draw this plywood subfloor so that it goes right up to that edge. That's very important that we do this correctly. So I go over to architecture. I'm going to go over to floor. I'm going to make sure that I select 3/4 inch plywood. And so now that's what the floor is going to be made of. That's the material. And I want to make sure that my level is my first floor. And then I'm simply going to draw the boundary. So I'll follow the perimeter, making sure that I get right on that wall. Tab, 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 until that wall is actually highlighted. So we're waiting for that wall to be highlighted, and it's not. It's not letting me pick that. So I'll just draw it right here. I'll come all the way across to here, and then I'm going to pick this wall. Let's see if it'll let me do it now. See, I hit the tab key until the portion that I want is highlighted. And I'm going to quickly go back and fix this by aligning it to, hopefully I can get that. Yep, there it is. I'm aligning it right to there. So I'm going to come around now down to the bottom, and I'll use my pick line again. And we'll click on that till just the line that I want is highlighted. And then I come across like this, and I'm going to tab, tab, tab until just that line is highlighted. And again, it doesn't seem to be letting me do that. So I'll just draw a line right here, and then see if it will let me align it to this. I'm not sure why it's not letting me, but there it is. That's where I want it to be. I'm aligning it to that. And then I come down here. I'm going to try to pick that line again. Got it. And then there's one left. I'm still picking lines. Tab, tab. There it is. Okay. So now it has to be an enclosed entity. So I'm going to hit the modify tab or escape just so I can select that magenta line. I'll come down to the eyeglass and say isolate category. So now the only categories that I can see are the magenta lines, and I can see that I need to use the trim extend. I still call it fillet. And now I have this all the way around. What about up here? Oh, that doesn't look too good. It'd be hard to see this if I didn't isolate my categories. So now I go back down to the eyeglass and simply say reset. Now I got everything back that I wanted, okay? I like my perimeter. I'm going to say okay. And now I have my, let's take a look at what I have here. I have my, first floor put in there. I've said for Revit in my VG, I said, don't show me any walls. So I'm going to go back to visibility graphics and say, show me the walls. Now I can see the walls, and I can see that I've put my first floor in there. It's right where I want it to be. And now I'm going to go back and put in the second floor. It'll be the same spot. But so we're going to close this guy down. instead of my first floor, I'm going to go to my second floor. And I can't see that because my crop region needs to be extended a little bit. So let's do that. I'll extend the crop region over so I can see everything. Now I'm going to put my second floor plywood subfloor in. Back to architecture, back to floor, make sure that I've got the correct material, and now it's at the second floor, so that's correct. And I'm going to go back in, and this time I'm just going to draw the lines. And I'm going to change my resolution or my display to shaded, so I can really, I'm quite certain of where I should be picking my lines. Let's see if it'll let me grab that. I'm having a trouble there. I usually like to go over in the wall area itself. Got it. And let's go over into the wall area itself, as opposed to trying to pick something right here at the end, because then Revit gets a little confused. Am I talking about the end of this wall, or am I talking about the component on this wall? So I like to, when I'm trying to pick objects, I like to come over into the wall itself rather than try and pick the edge, because there's really two walls right there. And sometimes Revit gets a little confused. So I'm picking lines, come down to here, tab, tab, got it, okay. Seems to be working a little bit better. I'm still pick lines, come over to here, tab, tab, got it. Again, tab, tab, got it, okay. And then I think this will be the last one, tab, tab, got it. Now, I don't know if I've enclosed this area or not. I'm pretty sure that I haven't, but I'm going to say okay anyway. And I get a message and it's telling me, hey, you got a problem on your screen. And I'll say on your boundary, and I'll say, okay, if we zoom in a little bit closer here, you can see that I don't have this line selected yet. So let's do that. I thought I did though. All right, let's go back here and we're going to isolate that category again. And I do have a line in there. All right, so I know that I have a problem up here, but I'm going to say okay anyway. And Revit is telling me that I have an issue. So I guess we'll just fix it this way. Trim extend. And then just walk ourselves around just to make sure that we're good at all of the edges here. Trim extend, trim extend. I've got an intersection there. Look at that. Bing, okay. Now, we always click on the parts that we want to keep. So I want to keep this side of the line, and I want to keep that side of the line. And I want to keep this side and this side. Okay. Say okay to that. Reset my temporary hide isolate. Should always save the project. It takes a second or two. Might seem like a minute or two. All right, so now I have my second floor in there as well. So let's go now to the 3D view that I've created to see these. And I've got my two floors in there. And now I'm going to go back to VG, and I'm going to turn off my walls. So these are like layers in AutoCAD, but we call them families in Revit. So now I have my two floors here, my first floor, plywood subfloor, and my second, and it goes right to the edge of here. And now what I want to do is put the bond in. I want to put the bond or the rim joist, which is this object right here. And I can do that very simple. This will be set up for you. There'll be this video is available for you, but I'm going to also put this into the content area so that you can refer to it. But anyway, I'm going to put my rim joist or my bond area around the first floor, first of all. So interestingly enough, for some reason, when I go to put it in, if I don't give it an elevation, Revit puts it in right there at the bottom of the basement wall. And I don't know why that is, but I know the workaround. I'm simply going to set my height to the top of my rim joist at 10 foot 10 3/4. So I'll go into structure. I'm going to pick a beam. I want that beam to be 2 by 12. I want the offsets or the extensions to be 0, but I want the height to be 10 foot 10 3/4. So I'll change this height to 10 feet 10.75 and say okay. And now when I click the lines and I click here, it should go right at that elevation. Now I'm going to spin it around, and it's going to put my bond in all the way around on the first floor. It's not extending beyond the plywood. And as I click that and spin it around, this is a very quick way to get that bond in there. And the bond is important because that's the perimeter where we'll put our structure into that. And bam. Okay, look at that. Let's change the escape, and let's just change our view here so we can see. I'll just leave it like that. All right, same thing with the second floor. But the second floor now, its height is going to be 22 foot 0 1/8 to the top of the, oh, that's not true. I have to be a little bit less than that. So let's activate this guy. And that shouldn't go to the top. It should actually come down to the top of the rim joist. Now it's in the right location. 22, 11 3/8 is what I want. So I'm going to do that same thing for this bond around the second floor beam. But now I'm going to make this height of that beam or beam system, which is the bond, is 21 foot 11 3/8. 21 foot 11 space 3/8. I don't have to put the inch symbol in, okay? 21, always a good idea to check that. 21 feet 11 3/8. Okay, I'm going to simply click on the corners of this plywood, and my rim joist will go in all the way around at exactly the location where I want it to be. Spin it around here. 1, 2 left to go. This one and this one. No, I have my rim joist in. So these settings would be relative to whatever your levels are. So from your basement floor to, look at that, to the top of the rim joist might be different on your plan because your ceiling elevations and wall elevations are different. But in this case, this is my dimensions, and so that's what I have to set that at. So what I'm trying to do is make sure that this plywood goes right, this plywood subfloor goes right up to this plywood, and then I can use this edge of this plywood to put my bond in. And in a couple minutes, I've got my plywood subfloor and I have my bond area in there. So let's put a section in real quick. Go to the section icon, which is in my quick access toolbar, which I've told Revit to put below the ribbon. And I'm going to just come across here, go to that view, and just do a quick check. Now, I can't tell because I'm in coarse resolution. I'll go to fine. Does my floor go right up to there? Let's change it to shaded. Sure enough, my plywood subfloor goes exactly to where I want it to be on that side and on that side. And once as long as I put my plywood subfloor in the correct location, putting in the rim joist in there is very, very simple. It only takes a couple of minutes.